What's up, everyone? Eric here. It's not the weekend. It's actually Tuesday, but it is time for another AMA video where you guys can ask me anything anonymously with the link in the top of the description box of this video. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a video out this weekend. There was an issue with StreamYard's audio stuff for me. I was recording things, but the audio sounded awful. If you watched my video on Friday, you'll know it was a big deal in that video. You could hear it popping and clicking and stuff like that. But I think we got it sorted out. I hope so. So we're going to do this video today. So we'll get 2 AMA videos this week. We'll have one today and then one at the end of the week as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much. We're going to do 5 questions. I hope you guys are ready. If you would like, again, if you'd like to submit a question, you can do so at the description at the top of this box, or you can leave me a voicemail. I'd love to do voicemails, but literally, you guys are funny. I'm getting very funny voicemails, but I haven't heard any yet that we can use on the channel. So if you'd like to do that, you can submit it through SpeakerPipe. It's also anonymous. Just make sure you don't leave your name and everything in the voicemail, and I won't know who you are. I've never heard you before. Anyway, let's go ahead and check out the first question. Okay, so with our first one here, it looks like he kind of rushed through the question, so we're going to try and sort out what's being said here. But it says, "Hi, my name is Christopher Carter." So full first and last name, Christopher. Okay, we appreciate that. Fort Wayne, Indiana. My question is this: why are the fandoms always having to hate on things that people love watching, like TVs, movies, video games? Back then, when I was watching Geeks and Gamers, I thought they were very cool guys, but I was wrong. They are very mean and downright sick in the head. They hate women. So my question is, what can we do to stop them from making, mean comments or things towards Black people and everybody? So basically, what can we do to stop them from doing what they're doing? And the reality is, and this isn't going to be everybody's favorite answer, but there's not a lot that we can do to stop that kind of content just outright. We are not YouTube, we are not Twitter, we're not Instagram. There's nothing we can do to just outright stop that kind of content. Now, here's the crazy thing. YouTube has a terms of service that they're actually not supposed to be doing the stuff they're doing. They sometimes get very close to crossing the line, and then a lot of times they go over that line, but YouTube doesn't enforce its own terms of service. Now, these aren't my personal terms of service. This isn't my website, and every website has a different terms of service. I've gone over this before. YouTube's terms of service are very clear on the kind of content they allow, and most of these channels violate that. They literally just violate it. I could stop in any F&T stream and see them breaking many of those terms of service guidelines, community guidelines, but YouTube doesn't enforce it. And I know for a fact people have actually reached out to YouTube about this. There are people over the years that have reached out to YouTube about this, and YouTube doesn't really do anything. There's an actual stream that happened of F&T where, and I can't show it here because it would get the channel in trouble, but Gavin McGinnis was on their show and pulled out his eggplant on camera and then peed all over the desk. And people are like, oh, well, it's not real. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. He pulled it out of his pants and did that on the desk during the stream. And the stream went down for, I would say, at least 24, 48 hours, I guess, while they took it out. But when they were live, it happened in the middle of the live, and the live kept going. It kept going. I mean, it's not like they got in any trouble for that or anything like that. That is clearly a violation of YouTube's terms of service, and nothing happened. And that's probably one of the biggest things I saw where I'm like, if YouTube's not going to go after them for that, they're not going to go after them for saying a slur. You know what I mean? They're not going to go after them for doing any of the other stuff they're doing if they're going to let them just have somebody on their show pull out their eggplant on camera and show it off. And I'm like, okay, so what are we doing? What are we talking about here? So really the only thing we can do is make sure that people know what kind of content their content is, and allow them the opportunity to, when they're able to break away from it or realize that it's not good for them, have them give them somewhere they can go where they can sort of vent a little bit, voice their frustration, and talk about their experiences with that content. That's really all we can do, because there's no magic wand or anything like that. So what we're doing now, coming over here, having our group where we talk about this, where we make it very clear, when we point out all the stuff they're doing and how awful it is, this is really the best thing we can do, because ignoring it doesn't work. I know there's people in my comments that have tried to tell me, just ignore it, it'll go away. No, it won't. It won't go away. There will come a time when you can ignore it. We will know when that time happens. We will reach a point where ignoring it will be the best course of action. But right now, what we're doing is working because everything they're doing is on a decline. So we have to keep doing what we're doing. What we're doing is making a difference. Ignoring it now would be a mistake. And this is why we're seeing a lot of channels pop up, bigger channels pop up and start calling these guys out, because it is working. It is working. And eventually it will cause YouTube to have to step in and do something. So this is kind of what we have to do. Otherwise, don't just, and I've said this before, if you don't want to help those channels, like, because there's nothing we can do to, like, if you want to just stop them, there's really not a lot that can be done in terms of that, right? So if you want something that you can do personally to prevent these channels from growing and getting more visibility personally, is just don't engage with that content. And I don't mean not to talk about it. I mean, don't go over and give their videos engagement if you really want to do, like, this is not me telling you what to do. Okay. I just want to make that very clear. I'm not telling you to do this, but if you want to do this, if you want YouTube to stop recommending stuff to you or recommending it to other people, don't engage with that content. That means no sharing it with links, no commenting on it, no liking or disliking, because disliking doesn't hurt the video. It actually counts as engagement. Any of those things count as engagement. So if you want to help personally get rid of the content that you don't want to see on YouTube or you don't like on YouTube, the best way for you to do it is not engage with it, but still talk about it and call it out. That's the best thing you can do. You won't see me, like, let put this in perspective. You won't see me in their comment section arguing with people on their videos. You won't see me doing that. That doesn't help. That actually hurts. It brings more visibility to the content. Because people are like, oh, you're watching their video. Yeah, watching their video one time is not nearly as bad as staying in their comment section and fighting with people. It's not. It's not. Trust me. I know how engagement works on YouTube. Thank you for your comment. All right, so here we go. It goes, I mean, I'm looking at Young Ripa's last video for the past 6 months, and in all honesty, he's not posting anything that offensive. I've seen worse. Why is he losing so many subscribers like it's his day job? That's a good one. In that F&T grifter space, no one has even come close to losing subscribers like he is. Why do you personally think that is? By the way, love your channel. Thank you so much. Okay, so the reason why Eric July is, and this is all speculation based on being an observer to this, Eric July, and you can go back and look at my videos, I talked about it. He built his audience off of a stream of outrage, the same stuff that F&T does, the same stuff Geeks and Gamers does, Ryan Cannell does, all these guys do. He built his channel off of that, and he was kind of their biggest personality. Eric July was the guy that was always out there, arguing in comments, making videos about, like, what is it, monetize my haters. He had, like, all the stuff going for him to really ride the gravy train of the grift along with these other guys. I actually think his channel could have gotten to 1 million subs. I think if he would have kept and had that momentum, he could have been at 1 million subs. I do believe that. But Eric wanted to do the thing that all of those guys were unwilling to do, which is actually try and compete against, like, the big companies. And the easiest way to do that was with comic books. And so he decided to do that. And that caused him to back off from a lot of content on his channel. Like, he just backed off. He didn't want to do monetize my haters anymore. He didn't want to do the grift content, whatever. And so a lot of people are like, I don't come here for comic books. I come here for outrage. I come here to be told that everyone is against me and the world hates me and I have to be mad at everyone. That's why they come to his channel, right? So the people that were actively watching his videos, and you can see in the algorithm based on the interactions he's getting on his live streams and in his videos, a big chunk of the people that actively watched his content actively unsubscribed from him. That's just the reality of it. And I said a while ago that we were going to see this happen. He was going to lose subscribers. I predicted this because they wanted that outrage, that anger from him. And you'll notice the videos that do really well on his channel typically are the ones where he's involved in some sort of drama, or he's addressing some sort of drama, or there's something that Comicsgate can call him out on or something like that. Those are the type of things that do well on his channel. Now he's doing the last few things I saw. I haven't been to his channel in a while, but the last things I saw he was posting was like political videos, no outrage stuff. He was doing the podcast Rip and Silverback with Az. I don't know if he's still doing that or not. I guess he is. They were uploading clips from that. They're not even doing that anymore. So there's There's no clips. Matter of fact, let me look quickly before I finish her comment right here. Yeah, he lost another 1K subs. He's down to 491 now. That's all right. He did a Sydney Sweeney video 10 days ago. Jeffrey Epstein stuff, Trump stuff. Yeah, there's no clips from ripping the Silverback. Oh, actually, okay, this is interesting. The last Rip in the Silverback stream that I see was from 3 weeks ago on his channel. I'm not going to check Az's channel, but yeah, he's focused on the Ripaverse, and to be honest, it's just gotten really boring to me to even talk about bad comic books. And the majority of his comics go from like extremely mid to bad. So there's just not a lot to talk about. You know, he wants to do his comic book thing or whatever. My issue with channels, and this is why this is sort of, it showcases what I do, right? I go after people that are attacking marginalized communities or attacking diversity, attacking things that I consider to be important to me and things that I know can cause material damage to other people. Once Eric moved on from that stuff, I really didn't have much to say about him. I think the last few times I've talked about him have been connection to Yellow Flash, who is still making that kind of content. Other than that, if Eric wants to go make like shitty comic books and sell shitty comic books and, make music and try and chart on iTunes or whatever, I don't really care about that. It's extremely boring, which is why nobody's talking about it. And I think the issue is he's finding out that when there's no controversy and he's not doing outrage, the boring shit doesn't bring people to his videos and to his channel. We'll see how long the Ripaverse lasts. I don't know. Good luck to him, I guess. Anyway, thank you for your comment. All right, so this is a two-parter question. The person that submitted this question also submitted one like literally right after this one, and they're both connected together. So we're going to do these both as like one question because they both connect. They tie together. So they say, so what are your plans for when Trump makes America into a dictatorship? And the next part is over here, and it says, earlier I left a comment about a dictatorship in America and realized when it came off like a hater, but I actually love your content, dude. Okay, I appreciate it. What I meant was, did you have any plans? Because I myself moved from America and now have settled in Australia. I'm a trans woman and need to get out of America because I truly believe Trump will establish a dictatorship sometime in the future. Just wanted to know if you had any backup plans. Stay safe, dude. Loving the content. Fuck critical drinker and fuck fascist grifters. Yeah, I mean, I would say that there is already sort of like a mini dictatorship happening, but it seems like the rails haven't come off yet. If that makes any sense. I do believe that he is definitely pushing things. And I've said before, I was talking to my partner about this. I've said before that I want to see what happens with midterms. That really is for me, I guess that's my final straw in all this is the midterms. If we actually have the midterms and things shift, my perspective will be much better because I'll feel like, hey, you know what, we can actually do something. We can fight back against this in a political way. If the midterms have any issues at all, like we find out that he's not allowing people that are elected to take office or something along those lines, I would say it's beyond the point of no return. That really is the big determining factor for me, because that's my last bit of hope in our legal system, our political system, is the midterms next year. Things are bad though. They're really, really bad. I think though, one thing we have to understand is there's only so much squeezing that he can do to his supporters before they're going to just flat out turn on him. And I know we want to believe that that's impossible, but what is the one thing that you can't lie about indefinitely? Money. You can't lie about money indefinitely. And once people, especially people that he is affecting with this big, beautiful bill, start to get affected by these things, I don't think there's any way realistically they can convince themselves that what he's doing is right. We're already seeing it now. There's videos and videos and videos out there of people who have businesses that supported Trump, supported the tariff, supported all this stuff because they believed every bit of the lie that was coming down from him, from Stephen Miller, from Scott Bessent, from all these people, Ludnick or whatever his name is. They believed all these guys. And now they're seeing that no, prices are going up for us. And it's almost even worse than that, because what's happening is as American businesses are paying more for imported goods. So then they have to sell their items at a higher rate, which means the rest of the world doesn't want to buy from them because they can find them cheaper other places. So what Trump has done is he's effectively caused it so that not only are we paying more for things that are coming into the country, but all the businesses that he's been saying you're going to have so much business, you're going to do so great with American jobs and stuff, they can't sell things to other places because other places don't want to pay more for them. They're like, why should we pay more for stuff that we're sending to your country to manufacture when we can do it literally anywhere else in the world? That can only go on for so long. The Ponzi scheme can only go on for so long. So I do believe there is going to be a time where his actual, maybe not the most diehard ones, which are like the super rich people, but all of the people that got him elected in, all the really like, poor and middle class people, low income people that elected to get him in office, they can't pretend but so long because they're not going to be able to get groceries. They're not going to be able to afford to live. They live in some of the poorest parts of this country. So it can't go on but for so long. Eventually the bubble is going to burst. So, but for me personally, we've already looked into like what we would do in terms of like getting away and going somewhere else if we have to. And we've got a few options. I don't really want to get into it here because I feel like it's a lot to unpack, but I've already said that for me, the big thing I'm looking at is the midterms and how the midterms are going to go. But I'm glad you got away, and hopefully you feel safe and comfortable and protected there. And anyway, thank you for your comment. I do appreciate it. Okay, I lost track. Is this 4? Is this 3 or 4? I'm thinking it's 4. I'm hoping it's 4. I don't remember. Okay. The comment here says, hey, Eric, picking up on your AMA from last week on how viewers became indoctrinated and radicalized by outrage content. You said at one point that some people are just too far gone deep in the echo chamber and listed the signs. But for those who are drinking the Kool-Aid yet and have not reached those dark, dank depths, what can be done to de-radicalize them, to bring them back from the void, per se, and even dismantle the parasocial relationships they have nurtured with various internet personalities? Also, as you mentioned, obviously outlets like your channel are awesome in helping in this regard, can easily just share your videos, but also looking for the things I can do in a more personal way, even if a small way, versus in those comment section to help prompt in dismantling the process for some people IRL. If there's any hope left, as it seriously feels like a cult sometimes, advice. Okay, this is a big one. I'm not going to, like, a lot of people were like, you talked for a really long time last time when you talked about this. So I'm going to try and keep this a little bit more, I don't know, like, I'm going to deflate some of my longer thoughts to sort of get this out there. When people are, even when they're not completely radicalized, it's still really difficult to reach people on any meaningful level when you're not a part of the group. And if you're part of the group, the only way you can really reach them is if you can find out if they're also doubting the things the group is doing. So that's the tough part, because if you're in the midst of it, when you're part of the cult, right, and you're there, you don't want to look around and be like, is this guy, are you buying what he's selling anymore? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to do that because you might get kicked out of the group. You might get ostracized. So a lot of times that won't happen. But that is something that could happen. Now, people that do lose the connection by doing that or even questioning the narrative at all, those are people that are looking for somewhere to go. They're looking for people to reach out to. And I always welcome people on my channel who have become opened up to like the idea that these channels are doing this to them, or people that are completely stepping away from those channels or have completely stepped away from those channels that are looking for other places to go. Because I do feel like it's very healthy to come over and, vent your frustrations with what these channels have done to you and how they've made you feel. Now, I'm not a therapist, so I can't sit down and have like a one-on-one with everybody, but you're asking what you can do on a more personal level. Usually a real connection with someone makes that difference. Having a conversation with someone, I've had it happen. I've met lots of great people who used to be big fans of like Nerdrotic and Geeks and Gamers that I've met over the years who are no longer part of that. And we talked about it. We had conversations about it, and it did make a difference. You could try that, but it's really difficult on the internet because you don't know who's on the other side of that screen. and they don't know who's on this side of the screen. So it's kind of tough, right, to have that kind of personal connection. Outside of that, unfortunately, there's really not a lot that you can do to break them away by force, like convincing them to leave because of XYZ. Like that just doesn't, I've talked about this before, it doesn't really happen that way. Like, have you ever heard the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink? That's kind of the same way with the radicalization on YouTube. Like, I can bring people to my channel, we can get them here, but they have to be willing to hear what I'm saying. And all you have to do is look at any of my videos, my shorts, my longer videos, whatever, read the comment section, and you can see there's some people that just, they're here, but they're not listening to anything that I'm saying. They're just completely dismissing anything that I'm saying. It happens a lot on the Jester Bell videos, some of the other videos that I've made about Critical Drinker. It's very common, right? But I would say, again, if you want to do something on a personal level, don't try and force people out of that situation. Like, you might want to have them sort of reflect on some of their biases if you're having interactions with them on the internet, and allow them an opportunity to do that. I know it's always fun to pull a gotcha. They always feel really good in the moment. You're like, oh, gotcha. You know what I mean? They always feel good in the moment. But I think gotchas are detrimental in helping people that are in these radicalized situations. There's a lot of resources online. I might upload like a post in the community tab with like links to resources for this if there is an interest in it. So in the comments, let me know if you're interested in some resources. I'll be glad to pull some together and make sure I give you guys the best possible information. Thank you for your comment. Let's move on to the final comment in today's video. All right, have you heard of the term phase? I think you mean phrase. Fandom racist. Fandom racist is the rejecting of diversity in fandoms and media, and the attempt to push characters of color and fans of color out of the fandoms and media to focus on white people, white characters, and white fans. I don't know if I've heard that phrase specifically, but I mean, like, that's myself and the guys on the showcast. Like, we've been talking about this kind of stuff for a while now. So I'm really familiar with the concept. I've just never heard the term itself. Anyway, fandom racist is usually talked about in the transformative fandom spaces like fan fiction and shipping culture. Fandom racist affects all people of color, but affects black people the worst. Look how Ironheart is treated. The term phrase fandom racist is sort of new, at least 10 years ago, but racism in fandoms has always been a thing. It's just changed and evolved. These anti-woke grifters are a new form of fandom racist. Anti-woke grifters and anti-woke people are the new way of how fandom racist has evolved. Racism in fandoms has gotten worse, and there are great examples of it. Fandom racist isn't always obvious and can be subtle, but anti-woke grifters are obviously racist. If you want to learn, it's a lot. Sorry, here we go. If you want to learn more about fandom racist, look at old posts from Stitch Media Mix. Stitch doesn't talk about the fandom racist anymore, but they still have a lot of good old posts about them. I'll bookmark that and check it out later. No, I haven't really heard of the term, but I mean, it's very obvious. There's a video I saw, I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago, about like racism is now just normal. And it's different though. Like, racism when I was growing up was like, in terms of like anecdotally, it was just hearing people say slurs and talk negatively about the intelligence level of people of color, things like that. You would hear it in like passing conversation, but the internet has amplified that and turned it into more of a even larger systemic problem than it's already been, because systemic racism has been an issue for a very long time, but the internet has really amplified that a lot. And the video I was watching said that one of the big failures of fighting back against racism in modern times, and I don't know if this is, I haven't unpacked my feelings on it yet, but they were saying like the one of the biggest mistakes was just telling people not to talk about it and pretending that it didn't exist. And that's how so many like young incel, like far right white guys got the way they are, is because of like being told you can't do that, you can't say that, without properly having conversations with them about why it's a problem. I'm not going to say that's 100% the issue, right? I don't think that's 100% the issue. I think that's a element of some of the issue, like the larger issue. I don't think it's the only one, but I saw the video talking about it. And like I said, I haven't totally unpacked what that would look like had there been some sort of like precognitive view of what we'd be dealing with now. Maybe there's some college professors out there that knew this was coming. Maybe there's some people that deal in social sciences that knew this was coming. But for me personally, I mean, like, I didn't think it ever went away. It was just something that I didn't think would be mainstream in this way. It is disheartening to see how things are. I've talked about this before. One entire half of my family is full of like subtle and overt racist. And I had to deal with that growing up. I don't really talk with them or associate with them now. But when I was growing up, I had to deal with that because it's how things were. And I hated it. I hated every moment of it. It never felt good to me. I went to a school that was very diverse. So I was like from middle school, high school on, I was always around people who did not look like me, who didn't think like me, from different walks of life. I was very lucky to be in that environment in the city that I was in, because it was a very small town here in Virginia. I was very lucky to be in that system where I could learn about those things at a young age, at a very impressionable age. It allowed me to grow up and see people as individuals and not necessarily look at them in different ways, and understand how the systemic problems that exist actually do exist and things of that nature. But a lot of people don't get that chance. And if I were going to agree with one thing about the idea that we didn't, saying that just don't say that word wasn't enough, it would be that I do believe people probably needed more of an opportunity to understand what diversity looks like and why it's so important to us. We just need to somehow make that happen again without all of the cynical stuff, without all the meme culture, everything. I think it just drives this. Like all of that feeds into this, and then this is an extension of that, and it's all one big system. And we're just like circling in the bowl with all this shit going on. So it does suck, 100%. Thank you for pointing this out. I will definitely look into the Stitch Media mix and check out the fandom racist stuff. Maybe we'll talk about it in another video. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for all their questions and comments. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for participating in this. If you would like to leave a comment anonymously or a voicemail anonymously, you can do so at the link in the top of this video. I can't wait to hear from you guys. And I will see everyone in the next video. Have a great night.